Okay, Gavin, this is the very first installment of the, I'm going to say, reassembly of your bike. I'll remove this little towel here, and there is your engine, fully exposed. And you'll probably notice that these bolts are loose. You see that? And these are called cam keepers, and they're also loose as well. You'll notice that the back. Sorry, I should probably introduce everything to you. So here we are at the top of your engine. This is the exhaust down here. So the engine makes the fuel combustion, everything happen right below this inside the engine, and then air and fuel is mixed, detonated, and then comes out the exhaust pipes. And then up here, this lumpy thing, these two lumps, these are intake valves, and then underneath this cam keeper is an exhaust cam. So intake cam, exhaust cam, these are called cam keepers. And the keepers are missing on this cam because I'm still doing shims on the valves, which are underneath here. I would actually pull this in and show you what that looks like. The problem that I'm going to have bringing this to your attention, one, is lighting, and I'm not much of a cameraman. Whoopsie. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Not much of a cameraman, but you'll probably notice that there's a zip tie right here. And the zip tie is to ensure that I don't lose time on the cam. There's another one that's just out of frame. You can't quite see it, but it's at the top up there. And in order for me to show you all of that, I would have to remove the exhaust cam keepers and the cam itself, remove the intake cam just to show you the valve. Boy, it is such a tight relationship up in there. I could really only just sort of point and gesture, but I'm putting a shim in. This is the number 4 cylinder. This is the number 3 cylinder. That's the number 2 cylinder right here, and that's the number 1 cylinder. All of your exhaust valves were completely closed. Like there was zero clearance in them at all. So I'm actually kind of guessing at how to put them back together. With zero clearance, I have no place to start. So I pulled the shims out of there, and let me just get the numbers here. I think I sent it to you in a picture, but I pulled the shims out of there on the exhaust side. Yeah, and they were all zeros. And why I didn't write it down. Sorry, I'm just looking at the paper here behind camera. Okay, they were all zeros. I think maybe the reason I didn't write it down is because I pulled them all out sequentially, took the value of each shim, and a shim is like this little thin, I should probably show you one. A shim is this teeny tiny little piece of metal, and here I'll use this dime, or yeah, I'll use this quarter as an example. So here's a 25-cent piece, and here is that shim. Right, that's how small the shim is, and each one of these cam lobes represents a shim, basically. So 2, 2, 2, 2, and then again 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. So so all of these were all super tight. Zero, I couldn't get a feeler gauge in there at all. Yanked them all out, laid them all out sequentially, and then dropped the numbers by 10 to see if I could get to the right measurement on each one. So it's a bit of a guessing game on the exhaust. But I've done them already, and I apologize I didn't do that on camera, but I'm trying to get this bike back under your bum as quickly as possible. Speaking of which, I got to get back to work and stop shooting videos. But I've done the first step on the exhaust, and I'm just going to finish off the intake. The only one of your intake was cylinder number 4, which is over here. I'm pointing at it. This was the only one. And of these 2 cams, this was the only one that actually needed a shim. And it was out by 1. So I've done the numbers on it. I've got the shim in hand. You saw that next to the piece, 25-cent piece. I'm just about to pop that in, and then take the cam keepers for it. They're sitting on the desk over there. Take the cam keepers for the intake cam, tighten that down, then tighten these guys down, and then turn the engine over by hand 4 times. Lubricate the shit out of all this because I don't want any metal on metal. Turn over 4 times, and then I do a whole other valve clearance check. I'll probably cheat because I know that 3, 2, and 1 is good on the intake side. It was literally just this one that I have to account for. So I'll do a clearance check on it. The real pain in our butts is the exhaust, because every single one of them will likely need to be changed, even though I dropped it by 10. Yeah, and that's where it's at. Okay, this is 5 minutes. Got to go. Bye. Okay, Gavin, here we are, just done through the first stage. Again, I apologize, my video skills are not very good. I transposed the map from before. I think I was mentioning to you before that I had originally written down the numbers, or didn't write the numbers down, and then thought that I'd pull them all out sequentially for the zeros. Actually, what I did was I wrote it on a separate piece of paper and I just couldn't find it. So these are your exhaust valves down here on this pink piece of paper, and there's no number written in them because they were all zeros. On the original paper, I could not get a single feeler gauge in there at all. So I pulled all of the buckets out, removed the shims, and these are the numbers that came out of the shims. So the shim thickness, remember I showed you that little pill, is 1.92 in thickness, and this is the succession of them as they go across from cylinders 4 to 1. So 192, 192, 192, 188, 190, 195, 195, 195. Guessing, because they were all at 0, I just pulled out all of these shims and replaced 195 with 185, 185, 185. You can see the numbers, what I did. This isn't it 181. Sorry, getting a little confused. But this is a 181. Okay, so that's what I did. This is the previous map, so you can ignore this one too. And this is the latest map. Now, remember, these numbers, the pink ones here, the 192, I just copied all of that information down here. Okay, so here is where all that is. And you can see with a little bit more detail in my map that every one of these are zeroed out across because I couldn't get a single feeler gauge in there at all. So I guessed at 192, 192, put in all the numbers, and then turned the engine over 4 times, lubricated the shit out of it. That's why there's oil stains on everything. And we win. We win. I got really close on this one, but still I got a number. So I got a 0.004 feeler gauge in here, 4, 3. 3, that L indicates that it's a 3 loose, but I couldn't get a 4 in there. So that's okay, because now I know what the next step is. This 190, 178, I got a 3, and this is the closest one I had. 185 for a clearance value of 0.002. Now, just to put the clearances, where did I put it? Okay, sorry, let me just finish this. And then finally, 185 for 0.004. We're halfway to our number, which is number 8. And again on number 4. Now, where I put them? Here they are. Okay, so these are feeler gauges, and these numbers that I'm referring to with the 0.004, 0.003, 0.0033244 are on these feeler gauges. And again, I apologize, my video skills are not, but I'll see if I could kind of show you what's happening here. So on this number 4 feeler gauge, and you can kind of get a feeling of just how flimsy this metal is, you might be able to see that there is a number written on that gauge. You see that? It says 004. And you can kind of see just how thin that piece of metal is and how difficult it would be to manipulate. You can see it's kind of wrinkled on the end here because this is me trying to slide it under the cam, between the cam and the bucket. But on this number 2 down here, this is the number 2 feeler gauge. Again, I don't know if you can see that, but it says number 002 there. And this gauge is so thin that this can cut you and you won't even know until you're bleeding. I don't have a 001, and there isn't really such thing. It's actually point zero. If the one thinner than this is 0.001.25, I think is the thinnest one. I don't even know if I have one of those. Anyway, that's too thin for anything to operate, so it doesn't matter. You don't really need a feeler gauge for that. But the bottom line is, on our very first go around, I got clearance numbers out of this, and this is just a straight up guess, shot in the dark, an educated guess, but a guess nonetheless. And now from here, take the phone out of this holder, and now from here, I will get back in there again. These are all tight down. You can see the zip ties have been cut off because I was turning the engine over, doing feeler gauges through underneath all these things. So now I put the zip ties back, or first I put it back to top dead center, tie it off. We are absolutely good on the intake, so I'm just going to leave that there. Just going to remove the exhaust cam, and we're going to go after, well, all of them, because they all need an adjustment. I'm going to say the average on the adjustment for all of the exhaust is about double, maybe a little more on a couple of them, but it's mostly double. I hope I've got enough shims. And just to give you an idea of what that looks like, I am so embarrassed that my desk is such a mess. It's been so busy here. But this is my hot cams kit. This is the odometer, the outside diameter of the shim itself. And when I open up this little kit, you can see that I've got lots and lots of little shims in here. And I will be looking for successive numbers of this shim number. So in order for me to achieve the 0.004 clearance on the exhaust valve of cylinder number 4, I put in a shim of 1.81. So if you look in my shim kit here, we'll just zoom in on the 180 and you know that it's empty. If you look above it, there's 175, and if you look below it, it's a little bit difficult to see because it's upside down and a little bit jumbled. But there's 185. Here, I'll just see if I can make something there. 185, 190, 195. You get the gist, right? Like, you see how the numbers progress and degress, but I'm completely out of 180s, which is okay because the next one that I'm putting in here, 8 is our number, so 4 for 8 at 1.81 would be 171 or 170. And there's 175. And there's 170. So I've got one it's used. That's okay. I don't know. That doesn't look like... Oh, 168. Yeah, okay. So I've got one of those. Anyway, you see what I'm saying, right? Like, I have to take all these shims out. They'll all go back into my stock. And then I'll dip into my stock to replace these shims with the ones that you need to get your allowances, get your clearances. Hopefully, after moving all these around and getting them set, I'll have to go shopping for maybe another 2, maybe number 4. But fingers crossed, we'll get this sorted, and that's where we're at. 7 minutes. Oh, man, I'm so sorry this took so long. Anyway, that's how it runs. More news to come. Okay, my friend. Let me turn the fan off. It sounds funny. All right, my friend. I didn't get any of this on video because I just sort of got in the zone. Here we are. You're probably noticing that there is a bunch of blue ink. That means that this map is finished. It's too crowded, it's too busy, it's too messy to make any real sense of, so I'm going to move to the next step. However, our achieving number was 008. And based on the shims that I had, and you saw my kit, I don't have an actual 177. So here's what I did. 181 was in there, and I got 004. So the next number from 181 I thought was 177. I didn't have a 177, so I put a 175 in there, and I got 007. So I'm 0.01 away. Oh, I don't know what that pop was. But 0.175, that's the only shim I have that's close enough to 177. So I thought, okay, it's going in the right direction. I should be able to achieve a better number. But all I got was 007. And you can kind of see across the board what I did. 178, didn't have it. Went 175, I achieved 007. 177, again, didn't have it. Put in a 175 because that's what I had. 007, 007, 006. You can see that, right? 173. I think what I put in there, oh, actually I didn't even record it. I'm sorry, man, I'm tired. It's getting on 8 o'clock here, and I've been at this for too long. Anyway, 6, 6, and then I don't know why, but I went from a 004 to 003. So I think I just, I don't know, I probably, either the shim is in there wrong, like crooked or something, or I just did the math backwards, and I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to do it again. And then, of course, check mark for the number 1 of 1, right? Because there's cylinder number 1, valve number 1, check mark. So after all of this, knowing that I'm putting the only shims that I have available in, I am 0.01 away from each one. I'm almost satisfied with what I see there. This I think I can do an improvement on. Obviously, that's an improvement. So I've got 3 more to go. So I'm going to pull the exhaust cam out again, at very least, and approach getting these ones. I know I don't have the shims for it. So like I said in the previous video, I think maybe 3 or 4 I have to go for, and I was pretty close. So I'm going to do 1, 2, and 3. 7, 7, 7, 7. Yeah, okay. Rah!